today I'm going to have a review or reaction somewhat to this moron, this psychopath David Wood, who bludgeoned his daddy with a hammer. And his comments on our newest brother to Islam, Andrew Tate.
The last thing you should be doing with your time is cooking. Ooh, an onion. Oh, let me get the onion. I'm gonna start cooking. Fridge. Ooh, an onion and some lettuce. Now, get a knife. Cut my onion. Start to cut my onion. You're broke!
I don't want any more.
But anyway, joining me in this reaction is our brother, Islamic colleague. So, Salam alaikum, brother.
Walaikum assalam, bro.
So what do these confused, directionless young men do? For a while, they turned to Jordan Peterson.
But I don't understand what that means.
But their anger and confusion and resentment kept growing. So now they're turning to Andrew Tate, who's basically a younger, dumber version of Jordan Peterson if Jordan Peterson had become an abusive pimp instead of a psychologist.
And also, David was talking about brother Andrew Tate. I mean, like, what did he do in the past? We remember a certain incident with a hammer.
And I decided to kill my dad. I was going to do it with a hammer. When I walked up to my dad, I had a hammer in my hand, and I hit him in the head 7 or 8 times with a ball-peen hammer until I thought he was dead, and I just left.
Yeah. Oh yes, of course. Let's not forget the hammer.
Incident with going to jail.
Bringing up the past isn't going to be good for you, David, because you have a nasty past as well. Okay. So this guy, this guy renegaded on his promise that he wanted to leave YouTube, but now what is he doing on YouTube right now? See, see, how can anyone trust this person after renegading on his promise to leave YouTube? He swore to everyone that he's going to leave YouTube and he will never come back again. But there you are, he's here, live. Not live, recorded, but at least 3 videos about Andrew Tate. Wow. Okay. So that just goes to show how his word has no value.
Now, we shouldn't point too many fingers at Mr. Tate for taking advantage of confused young men. He saw an opportunity and he took it. This happens whenever there's a significant number of people who feel like they're being targeted or treated unfairly. Someone steps in to be their hero and champion, and the people rally around their new hero and champion. But the person is only able to step in as the hero because of some problem that hasn't been dealt with. We saw this with Black Lives Matter, talking about the organization, not the movement. For decades, a lot of people were saying that they had a problem with police. I don't mean a problem with police doing their jobs appropriately. I mean a problem with certain police officers using their badges to get away with harassing and abusing people. And the response to these claims of unfair treatment was, well, if you have a problem with cops, stop committing crimes, which didn't address the problem. So the problem wasn't dealt with. Then what happened? 3 young women stepped in and said that if everyone sends them money, they'll deal with the problem. So individuals and companies sent these young women tens of millions of dollars, which the 3 women spread around to their friends and family members and used to buy a lot of properties and to invest in the stock market. Horrible thing to do, but they were only able to do it because there was a problem that wasn't being dealt with.
And I think he's trying to make the point that, these guys, they took money from them, and then they're wasting that money in name of their movement, and somehow Andrew Tate did the same, but there's no evidence for this. Andrew Tate never stole money from anybody, so the comparison doesn't make any sense. It's a faulty comparison. It's a faulty comparison fallacy.
It's silly.
This guy's supposed to be a PhD in philosophy.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe he ever had a degree. A doctorate. Even if assuming that he did, he probably bought it from a diploma mill. Okay.
He needs to go to Hustlers University.
Yeah.
David, go to Hustlers University. Maybe Andrew.
I hope he gets rejected. And his money would not be returned. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe he's actually waffling because he needs money. That's why he made 3 videos on Andrew. Yeah. Brother Andrew.
Exactly. So obsessive.
He needs to hustle. He needs to go to Hustlers University.
He's hustling for, he's so desperate. He's hustling for money that he has to use Andrew Tate's name in order to get money.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's accusing others of being hustling.
So it is with Andrew Tate. Some young men aren't feeling good about the way things are going. They're feeling despised and rejected, lonely and depressed. That's when the Tater steps in and tells them that he can make them successful. He can show them how to be men. So the Tater has amassed a huge following of young men whom we can affectionately dub the Tater Tots. You can condemn the Tater all you want, but he's only there because there was a problem that wasn't being dealt with. He's just taking advantage of it and using it to make endless chunks of money. Might as well be him, because if he wasn't doing it, someone else would. So far, so good. But there's a plot twist. The Tater recently announced that he had converted to Islam. Now, there are reasons to be suspicious. This is a guy who has admitted to scamming people. This is a guy who has told his followers.
Admitted to scamming people? When has ever Andrew Tate admitted to that? Why would you think that Andrew Tate is a scammer? He already has a lot of money. He doesn't need money anymore. Okay.
So he like
he was already
throws
super
a
rich
bunch
before
of
he
false
started asking.
accusation against him
Yeah,
without
yeah,
any
exactly. It's
evidence
dumb.
whatsoever. And then
Exactly.
he's saying, "Oh, he's did all this, and now look at this.
Yeah,
He's now
yeah.
become a Muslim."
Exactly. But
Followers to stir up drama and controversy on social media in order to generate more attention. And there are some significant similarities between the Muslim community and his normal target audience. Muslim leaders are in a state of panic because what they call the Avalanche of Apostasy.
it's nonsense. This guy Avalanche of Apostasy. Everyone is apostasizing to Islam. From Islam.
No.
Oh my God! Avalanche of Apostasy. Oh my God!
How
This
many
guy
times
is-
have you heard this?
Oh, I heard this many times over from David Wood. Okay, he's
Oh
in his
God.
drama. He's in his own bubble world, thinking that a lot of Muslims are leaving Islam in droves. And yet, if you look at the latest statistics from Pew Research, the Muslims are the second largest religion. Islam is the second largest religion in the world. Muslims are growing, and by 2050, which is just a mere 30 years away, Islam will be the largest religion in the world. So how is this an avalanche of apostasy, David Wood? How is this possible? Okay, doesn't make any sense, right?
I mean, the avalanche is in his head because
the avalanche is in his dreams, okay, because it's not happening. It's not happening to Islam, it's happening to Christianity. Okay. There is an avalanche of apostasy in Christianity.
if you just go to Google and maybe you can show some of the articles, it's showing how like people are leaving Christianity. I mean, I think there's this atheist called Genetically Modified Skeptic who made a video on this, and he showed how even like the most kind of like even if no one did anything and no Muslim kind of like migrated to America, America would still lose a significant number of Christians every day because Christianity is clearly losing its influence in the West, in America especially. So it's not the fault of like Muslims. It's just people are not interested in this religion because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. People don't follow it. And this is actually one of the reasons why Brother Tate left Christianity. And he will explain this.
Exactly. So anyway, let's play this and just finish this up where he talks about where he thinks this is proof of an avalanche of apostasy.
Avalanche.
Let's play this. Avalanche of apostasy. Okay. That's so funny.
By the way, he takes these clips completely out of context. He takes this completely out of context, out of this lecture of this scholars. He puts this because the scholars are talking about completely different topics.
Let me listen to it first, right? I haven't listened to this yet.
Muslim youth are leaving Islam.
Previously, according to me, when a person from Saudi Arabia or from the Gulf country went to America or went to Western country, the chances that they would deviate from the deen would be maybe 1 or 2%. That's it. But nowadays, the chances are more than 25%.
And if we don't take constructive steps to deal with this, it is going to become an avalanche.
What do people do when they're terrified?
Again, like where's the context? Like what context?
He just takes small parts of it and then he thinks that he applies it to his own mind. And he thinks that this is an avalanche of apostasy. Everyone is leaving Islam. Oh, an avalanche.
I mean, like, there's like no context to any of those clips. And let's say, for the sake of our argument, they are saying that, right? Let's give it to him. Let's give it to them. They're saying that. So what? Like who? Like are they like a social scientist? Like no offense to any of them. Of course, they're religious scholars. They're speaking from their own experience. That doesn't mean anything. That's not science. That's not study. That's not some peer-reviewed study. Because peer-reviewed studies show Muslims are growing in number. Islam is the fastest growing religion. That's the study.
That's the fact. Yeah, that's the fact. Islam has been the fastest growing religion ever since 2000s. Okay.
Yeah.
And
of course. Yeah. Of course, this is not to say that people are not kind of like leaving the religion and like there's no
we have
secularization.
People like Apusi. Yeah, exactly. We have people like Apusi.
But then again, who are leaving exactly? It's people like Apus.
Yeah,
we're glad they're leaving.
I mean, I'm happy that idiots like Apusi left. Okay, he can leave all he wants. We don't need idiots like him to be part of the Muslim. I wouldn't want to be in the same room with him, accepting him as a Muslim. I will never do that. Okay, he's such a moron. Okay. I will never accept him as that. Okay? It's good that he left Islam. Okay?
It's a blessing.
Islam doesn't need. You see, the thing is about Islam is that Islam doesn't need us, but we need Islam. Okay, that's the point. Okay, even let's say tomorrow, let's say for some reason, na'udzubillah min zalik, let's say Andrew Tate leaves Islam. So what? Who cares? I don't care. If he decided, who knows? Maybe tomorrow he says, "Oh, I don't want to be a Muslim anymore. I want to leave Islam. Go ahead, by all means. We don't care. Okay, because Islam can survive without Andrew Tate, but Andrew Tate needs Islam. Okay, that's the point. Okay, yeah. So, let's continue with this. Right? Okay, because you see, David, who doesn't understand this simple fact that Islam doesn't care whether you apostatize or not. Okay, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's
also there's no like avalanche. If anything, there's the avalanche of like Christians.
No, there is an avalanche. There is an avalanche of Christians leaving Christianity. Yeah.
More and more obvious to me and more and more pertinent that Islam is the last religion on the planet.
Yeah.
Islam is the last religion on the planet. There are nearly 8 billion people in the world, but only one religion remains, according to world-renowned sociologist Andrew Tate.
Pause. So he said that Islam is the only religion that remains. Tate never said that.
Tate never said this. Yeah. Tate actually explained.
Tate never said that Islam is the only religion in the world.
No. What I mean is, Tate did explain why he said that Islam is the last religion according to him in the world, because he said that all other religions, they don't obey their own laws. Okay, like for example, Christianity, you can do whatever you want, you can drink whatever you want, you can act however you want, even though the Bible says not to do certain things. Okay, and then the Christians, he actually mentions this in one of his interviews. He said that if Christians they want people to embrace their religion. Therefore, they said, okay, let's relax the rules. Okay, Christianity doesn't allow for apostasy. Christianity doesn't allow for zina. Christianity doesn't allow for other things, other deviant things. But the Christian leaders, they allow this anyway because they want to get people to join Christianity to relax the laws. Therefore, according to Andrew Tate, Christianity has lost its values. Okay, that's why he says. In fact, maybe you will listen. I don't know whether David will play this, but if you watch that particular with Brother Hijab, Andrew Tate actually says that because of this, Islam is actually the last religion on earth because we Muslims, we still practice our religion, we still obey the laws of the Quran. Anything that the Quran says that we can do, we do. Anything that the Quran says we cannot do, we don't do. Okay, very much unlike Christianity and Judaism or whatever religion there is out there. That is what Andrew Tate means by Islam being the last religion on earth. But this moron here, he takes it out of context.
What does Christian mean? Like, who's not a Christian? You go to Christian nations and everyone says they're a Christian. Look how they live their lives. Go into the average church. Is anyone actually fearful of God? Anybody? No. The girls are out on Saturday night drinking and they turn up to church because their parents made them.
Now, this is interesting. This sounds like a common Islamic caricature of Christian churches. And notice Hijab sitting there agreeing with everything the Tater says. Churches are filled with sluts. And all they do is sit around getting drunk and high and banging a bunch of guys. And then they go to church.
That is not what Andrew Tate says. This is just his assumption.
He's talking about fear of God. Fear of God.
Yeah,
you live in a country that doesn't have theocracy. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about it because I've watched previous interviews of him talking about Christianity. He says that, Andrew Tate says that whenever he goes into churches, he sees the people there, but they are not fearful of God. They just go there because their parents tell them to. Okay, that's pretty much. And he doesn't see any piety among the parishioners. That's basically what Andrew Tate is saying. But as usual, David Wu, he takes it out of context and he talks about something else, totally something different.
So basically another thing to add to this, go ahead. The thing is that if you look at like the Western worlds, they're clearly not theocentric. And that's exactly why you have people like Jordan Peterson coming into the fold, because these people, the Christians and some of these seculars, they're clearly seeing there's a problem with the left. And the reason there's a problem to begin with is because they have rejected Christian teachings. They clearly rejected it. And as a result of this, you're seeing all these problems popping up. So when Andrew Tate is talking about is that the fear of God that used to exist, right? It doesn't exist. But if you go to countries like, Saudi Arabia or like Qatar, it still has, Sharia law. It still has those rulings.
Exactly.
You clearly see people fearing God and obeying God. And even in my country, even in Bangladesh, every Friday, the mosques are full. Mosques are full. Is that the case in the churches? No, most of the churches are empty now. People are leaving the churches.
Yeah, avalanche of apostasy, my foot. Avalanche of apostasy. Let's not forget, he says that there's an avalanche of apostasy.
Because the thing is that
the avalanche of it? Where's the avalanche?
The thing is that what Andrew Tate is talking about is that in terms of culture, Christianity has clearly lost the war. It has clearly lost the war. Where if you look at the Muslims, Muslims still strongly hold on to this identity. But now that doesn't
Correct.
mean there cannot be exceptions. But in general, the Muslim world is extremely vocal. Like, look at what happened in like Salman Rushdie, right? This some idiot like insulted the Prophet, and entire Muslim world went up in flames.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, is
exactly.
that something that will ever happen if Jesus
This
is
is what
is
Andrew Tate admires about the Muslim world and the Muslims.
Yeah, and is this something that will happen if Jesus is insulted? No. I mean, if
No,
anything,
probably not.
Hatun Tash will bring cartoons of Jesus and show that to the camera. That's the difference.
Yeah,
That's what he's talking about.
Exactly.
My church isn't like that at all. My last church wasn't like that at all. My church before that wasn't like that at all. Maybe there are
Again.
churches like that, but I've never been to one. And yet, according
Again, like he didn't say that they're like all Christians are like that, like everyone is
Yeah,
like that, but
exactly.
you see a general
Exactly.
trend. Like if you look at the studies, if you'll see that people are leaving churches. FOA research found 66% of church-going teenagers drop out for at least a year between the ages 18 to 22. A recent Lifeway research survey of both pastors and Americans indicate many pre-COVID parishioners are still missing from the pews.
Okay, that's interesting.
So
That's interesting.
clearly, this is one
Avalanche of
study.
Apostasy.
Yeah, this is one study. This is just let's look at the study.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is just one study, and there are more. Americans church statistics. The latest statistics indicate there's a trend among the more illuminated figures are Americans' membership among all religious houses of worship fell below 50% for the first time in 80% years. Gallup has been keeping data. Among the demographics, almost 20% fewer people attend church in 2020 than
Avalanche of
2000.
Apostasy in the Christian world.
1/3 fewer Americans attend churches now than in 1993.
Yeah,
Only
Christianity is
36,
dead.
only 36 of Christians attend churches at least once a week. But just to think
Okay.
about it, just once a week, only
Once a week.
36%. More
And
and
only
more
36%
Christians
does it.
post-pandemic are staying home,
Yes.
electing to not attend church or watching services online. So they're like
My
watching
God.
at home Netflix, watching Netflix,
Yeah,
instead of
Netflix.
yeah.
They prefer to just watch other people going to the church rather than they themselves going to the church, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. I cannot hear you.
Sorry, I'm here. Sorry. I muted myself.
So, are you seeing this?
Yes, I can see it.
U.S. Christians projected to fall between. U.S. Christians projected to fall between 50% of population if recent trend continues. And here's what it was in 1972.
Apostasy in the Christian.
Here's what it is in 2020. It's 60% drop, and then they're projecting in 2070 it will be 35% drop.
Oh my. Okay.
19.
That's an avalanche.
45.
That's an avalanche. This is an avalanche. This is an avalanche. Okay, this is an avalanche of apostasy.
Yeah. And this gets crazier because it shows there are some studies. Okay, U.S. none will approach majority by 2070 if a recent switching trends continue. So
yeah, here's your avalanche of apostasy.
So here you can see that percent of Americans who are religiously unaffiliated, rising deflation without limits. In each new generation, a growing share of Christians switch out before they turn 30, while a shrinking shares of nuns switch in. No cap is imposed on switching rates. So these are people that are switching, and it rose from 5% to 30%, and then it's projected that it will gonna raise to 52%. These are people who are switching or becoming atheists or non-religious.
Yes.
Then if you continue, there are more graphs, and here we have in all four main scenarios, religiously unaffiliated Americans are projected to approach or exceed Christians in number by 2070. So before, Christians were the majority, and this study shows that by 2017, Christians will either be at the same number or they will drop, right? So they concocted 4 scenarios. Scenario number 1, they will have steady switching. movement into and out of Christianity remains stable at recently observed rates. That is, in each new generation, 31% Christians become religious unaffiliated before they turn 30, and 21% unaffiliated people become Christian. So again, 64% to 46% drop. That's insane. Then you have 30% to 41% unaffiliated. But these are people non-religious that are rising, and these are Christians that are dropping. In this case, in each new generation, a growing share of Christians switch out before they turn 30. But the switching rate is capped with preventive. So basically, these are like different scenarios that can happen.
Yep. So
And
this
it-
is the
and
avalanche
even
of
if-
apostasy.
And here's the funny part: even if no one switches to another religion, and no person in America has changed or will change their religion after 2020, even
Yeah.
in that case, Christians are still dropping.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
Christianity is clearly dying in America.
It's a dead religion. There's an avalanche of apostasy in Christianity.
Yeah.
How much they believe and respect. And I respect people who stick up for what they believe in. It's not about me believing in it. I respect them because they believe and they will defend. Muslims are the only people who will defend
He
their
says
religion.
he's
They will defend their
respected. He
beliefs. They
doesn't say
refuse
this
to be
is the
mocked.
reason he
They refuse to be
reverted.
insulted.
Right?
He's saying he respects Islam because of it. He didn't say that this is the reason why he reverted.
Yeah, exactly. This is before he became a Muslim. He respects. This is one of the things that triggers his interest in Islam, but this is not the reason why he wants to revert to Islam.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue. Yeah.
And I respect that about them.
Did you catch that? Remember earlier when he said that Muslims defend their ideas? We were wondering what he could possibly mean, since lots of other religions and ideologies defend their ideas. In context, we see what he meant. Islam defends its ideas with violence. And in Andrew Tate's mind, this means that it's going to outlast all other religions. And so if he's going to join a religion, he's going to join Islam, because it's the only one that's going to survive feminism and LGBTQ issues and so on. Notice, there's nothing in Andrew Tate's conversion that has anything to do with Muhammad being a true prophet because X, Y, and Z. Tate converted
He
because
didn't
he's
say
worried
anything
how
about
quickly
why
the
he
world is
converted.
changing.
He didn't say anything of that at all. I mean, there's nothing to do with it at all. Why is he assuming that? Because I mean, if he's a Muslim, it means he definitely believes that the Quran is the word of God, and he believes that the Prophet Muhammad is his messenger. How can he not believe these things and still accept Islam? What is his logic here? His logic doesn't make any sense, right? Does it make any sense to you for someone who claims to be a Muslim and yet doesn't believe in the Prophet and the Quran?
Yeah, so basically he's like trying to completely misrepresent what Andrew Tate is saying. Andrew Tate is at the clip with like Brother Hijab. He's clearly describing like why he left Christianity and what was his problems with Christians, right? He's not describing his like whole journey as to what actually led him to become a Muslim.
Exactly,
right? And
two
like
different things.
Yeah, so and he's describing like his frustration, what actually led him to this, and we know that his conversion story that he told his friend that he actually went to the mosque and asked questions. He asked questions. So clearly this is not the only thing that like led him. This is a contributing factor, but this is not the only thing.
Not the only
So
reason.
what David is committing is known as the oversimplified cause fallacy, where you have a situation where you have a bunch of reasons for why someone did something, and you're only taking one reason and making it seem like it's the only reason. When in reality, that's not the case. So he clearly went there. He clearly asked a question, and once it made sense, he reverted. So what? Like, what's the issue?
Yeah. So exactly. So he's just jealous of Tate. That's all.
I mean, do you want me to give you the names of all the Christians that say, "Oh, I saw Jesus in a dream, and that's why I became a Christian"? Why is that you don't have a problem with that? Well, I saw this guy in clouds, in a beards with like beards and whatever. Oh, that means Christianity is true. Why don't you take those guys on? What is the problem with that?
That's actually a dumb reason to be a Christian.